Hi everyone, I hope the lighting is still okay. We had the hour brought, what is it, forwards, backwards, whichever way, I get always confused. So in fact, the lighting is like it is 3 o'clock yesterday, but in fact it's 2 o'clock now in the afternoon. So yeah, the lighting is really going down from this point, and I have been really rushing, and I just came back from the post office to send off the next load of orders. And so today I want to look at my FOTD stamp set. Now I have a few versions here, and I mean it's the same thing, but this one I've been using, you can see it's discolored. This one is kind of new, but I started using it, and this one is completely brand new. So I wanted to show you a few things. So let's start by actually looking at the packaging of it. So in front, you will see the name and the fact that there are 20 clear stamps. Also, they're made in UK with high quality photo polymer, and that was very important for me, working with a manufacturer that creates products of this quality level. The next thing is that both of the sets that I have designed, in case you're not aware, the other set is florals, which I will do a similar video like today separately for the florals, I think for Wednesday or Friday this week, so stay tuned. But yeah, so they both are build your own, and what that means is you can create different looks by using these parts and sort of moving them around. So in this case it'd be swapping the eyes, swapping the lips, swapping the eyebrows, and you can create a different mood, a different kind of emotion and look. Same thing with the florals. You can create lovely clusters which are very diverse and different every single time just by moving them around. I will show you how to build those. It's a super fun thing, and I personally haven't seen it on the market yet, so I don't know whether I invented something completely brand new or I'm just not aware of it. But yeah, so on the other side of the FOTD, which by the way stands for Face of the Day, and you can create different fashion faces, I call them, and the point is you just have the face and you have a hairband to play with. You can do the rest yourself. You can draw on the body like you'll see in a few images that I will show you in a bit, and that's quite easy to do. So we're just concentrating on the face here, and the rest you can play around, or you can just create faces on their own like this without needing to do anything else. You can fussy cut them. If you do them on a thick watercolor paper, you can create embellishments with them. You can play around. You can do so many different things. So here is a list I put together of best stamping results, and it's worth to have a little read through them and some of the recommended inks. So you can use a number of different inks, and that's also a lot of fun to change up the style, which again you will see. So let's start by looking at the inks that I would recommend to use with these. Alright, I grabbed a few different inks from my stash just to show you the difference. Now, of course, you can use a lot more than just this, but these happen to be my kind of favorite ones at the moment that I really enjoy using. So the very first one obviously to talk about is the Ranger's Archival ink, and this is jet black. Now it's very easy and simple if you want to do black stamping. So an example would be this, and you just start off with black ink and you have everything black, and you don't need to outline anything. You just have everything ready. You do need to work around how to layer things, which we will talk about either probably not today. I will show you a separate tutorial on how to create layered looks with flowers. So either this week or end of this week or beginning of next week. But Yeah, so it's quite simple to use the black ink. You just stamp with the black, and that is it. However, if you want to take it and sort of make it a little bit more complicated, in the sense that you have more variety of doing things. So for example, with the black ink, because the way I designed the eyes, easiest would be to stamp them straight away with black ink. So even if you do the rest of the face with other inks, you can still keep the black ink if you want the eyes, the eyeliner to be black. If you want it to be a different color, like for example I have here, I have used this ink here, which is Tim Holtz Distress ink in the color Tattered Rose. I absolutely love this color because it's a very kind of peachy nude type of a color, and you can draw over it and line it out and create more detail if you want to, or just play around it. And then you can leave the area either like that of the ink color. So if you pick any other ink color, then you can do that. Or you could, like this color would be so pretty, the Distress Excite Stormy Sky for the eyeshadow color. So you could do that separately on these, and then just line out the line where it is for the eye and the pupil. So different ways of doing it. The other thing as well is that you can take a completely different color. If you start with a very pale base, it means that you can do so much more to it. So I could, for example, take a pencil, like a colored pencil. So I'm gonna use something nice and bright. So I'm gonna use these two colors. And then because it's a nude base that I gave to myself, where is my illustrated faith? I can't live without this. It's called a Bible mat, but it's just so good. So if I don't want to make any imprints on the page of the journal or whatever artwork I have laying around on my desk, and for the purpose of, you know, space saving, I just can layer it on top and work on it. So let's see. So we have this lovely blue pencil. Now these are Polychromos by Faber-Castell, by far, although I have to say I haven't tried all the others that have been talked about a lot, like Prisma and all of that, and Holbein pencils. I know they are very good, just because they're very expensive to get here in UK, but the Faber-Castell are still pretty damn expensive. However, they're so amazing that I just don't want to try any other pencil. They really are gorgeous. So you can see that we're now getting somewhere. And for highlight, if I take the white, let's see if I can actually highlight it. They're very pigmented and very, very beautiful. So it's not going to be like a paper white, but it still has white in it. And voila. So you then create this eye look with a little bit of work in any color that you want, and in fact any dimension. You could do so many different things. Again, you could do some polka dots. I absolutely love that. So let's go ahead and do this. You can decorate it in so many different ways. So I'm just doing a little dotted line just where the eyelashes are, and when it dries it will be more evident, but you can make it as big or as small as you want. I don't know if you can see the reflection. So that's one thing to do with the eye stems. Now let's come back and talk more about the inks. So in terms of the inks, depending on what ink you use, you can create different looks. So this was one look that I just showed you here, and it's just basic and quick and easy and lovely. But you can do something like this, which is using kind of like a flesh brownie tone of a ink, and then you can still see it. Like when you outline it, you can leave some of the lines as they are, and then play around it, and you'll see in a minute that you can create something like this, which is very lovely style. So I have lined out the contour of the face and the contour of the everything else I have drawn onto, so the little earlobes and the neck and the body in the dress, and then the hair as well I lined out. And things like the eyebrows, I have just used a fine liner and gone over it, so the base color is brown. So that, compared to this, makes it a lot more softer and a lot more kind of illustrative, I'd say. So you can, I think, doing it with a black ink, it very much looks like a stamped image. You can see it more. However, when you use a different colored ink and you play around with it and use a combination of lining out and leaving some of the ink as it is, like for example on the lips, I didn't want to line them out and make them brown, black. What it looks like is that she's wearing a nude lip liner, which looks super pretty with these peachy kind of nude type of a lipstick here. The colors on this one I've used from also my handmade watercolors, but another something I have been playing around. So perhaps, everything is in the open for now, but it might be something that I will be coming out with soon. Speaking of which, so this is the watercolor set that has been sold out in like 2 days. It was so quick. So thank you so much for everyone who purchased it. They are all out now, so you should get them. Majority of you should get them by this end of this week, I think, latest, probably, I think, depending where you are. But I know already some of you got it over the weekend, which was fantastic. So yeah, the point is there have been so many requests, and so because the demand is pretty high and I didn't expect it at all, I am going to be making more. So I actually gone ahead and I bought pigments to make more of these watercolors. So yes, there are definitely going to be more. So if you missed out on this little baby, then you definitely will be able to purchase it. I'll try to make more, like a bigger batch this time, and it should be available at some point in November. I can't give you the exact date because I need to, it takes time to get the pigments first and then obviously start working on it. And I fill them 4 times, the watercolor pans, to ensure that they are completely filled with watercolor. Sometimes they settle more, sometimes they settle less, but 4 is sort of the general rule here. And yeah, so it takes a while in between the drying time and, obviously then start to packaging everything and all of that. So, yeah, I'm hoping November should be a realistic date. So coming back to this, so this is the other look. And again, I left the eye, just lined it out and left that beautiful same color. So because the color is kind of going through the hairline, the eyebrows and the lip outline, it all kind of makes it so much softer and really pretty. I really love this style. So this I have created by using the VersaFine Vintage Sepia. Now I have to say that I find it a little bit messy to work with. So when I work with this ink, I always mess things up in terms of having little marks on the pages and things like that. And I don't have the same problem with the archival ink, whether that's because the archival ink dries faster, or whether that's because VersaFine is a juicier ink and kind of spreads a little bit more. I find that the lines I get when I'm stamping are a lot thinner with the archival ink, and you can see here the line is nice and kind of thick and bold, and that thickness I wouldn't get with the archival ink. So depending what you like, if you like a bolder line, I'd say go with this one. If you like a thinner line, go with that one. So just play around, see what you fancy. I'm just giving you some ideas here and sharing what I have already played around with and discovered. So that's that. The other thing, and it's not archival, so it's not waterproof. So if you want to stamp your artwork like so here, and you want to go over with watercolor, obviously because it's black ink, if you would have a non-waterproof ink, it just would make everything look quite dirty. So for the black, go with a waterproof. If you want to play around with colors, I personally haven't had any problems with you know, like the ink moving into anywhere and making mess, like here for example. So yeah, just experiment a little bit. So that's those two inks. The other ink that I really love is this one, which I already mentioned. So where was this little demo card? Here it is. So it's the most kind of nude and the lightest color to stamp with, but it also gives you more variety to play around with and create whatever you want. Let's see if you can see the gold reflection on the eye now. So that's that. And then finally the other ink, which is the number 4, which I really love, is Distress Oxide in the color Milled Lavender. Now the Milled Lavender is such a pretty kind of purpley lilac-y type of a color, and it's got that opaqueness to it, that chalky kind of finish, so it's very pretty. And to show you an example, so here I have done the stamping here. So the look again is completely different, but keep in mind that if you use watercolor it will completely dissolve. So I find that the Milled Lavender dissolves with a lot of water. So if you want to keep that ink line, then try to either avoid putting watercolor there and just do some line work, or do maybe like a very light wash. But yeah, so this is how it started off, and that's the color you can see here, very pretty. And this is then, you know, you can barely see it on the lines here. This is another example of the Vintage Sepia by Versafine. So this ink, very pretty again, keeping that line. I love it in the hair like this. It just looks so gorgeous. It kind of almost creates a natural shadow line or like depth to it. So very pretty. Okay, so that's the inks that I wanted to talk to you about. So these are, I will link everything below. Please have a look, and you should find everything there. Okay, so now that these stamps are out, I can actually share with you that if you go onto my Alyona Creates Instagram and scroll right down, the first 2 images are actually, and obviously this one as well, but you have seen this image already. So if I go like that, yes, so these 2 first images, they're actually created by using this stamp set. So the face is created with this, and then the roses, they were actually in my prototype, like the first ever set that I designed, which is this one. And then I sat down with my husband and just wanted his opinion, and he said to me, you know, I can do that. Why would you create a rose looking like this? I can draw it myself. So according to his advice, I kind of, looking at it back now, I wish I didn't take this rose out, because I personally think it's gorgeous. So if you're on the same boat, please let me know in the comments, and I will definitely include it in the, you know, next floral set, if I will bring another one out, because I just think it's gorgeous. Also the size of it, I designed it to be the same size as the bun, so you can basically create these huge Mickey Mouse roses on them, on the faces, but also use the rose on its own if you don't want to create a face. So yeah, let me know what you feel about it. I think it's a gorgeous rose. So then this image here, again, this was designed with the face, which you can create with the stamp sets. These faces, if you looked at my Instagram and you thought I was drawing them, in fact I stamped them. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we mentioned the ink, we looked at a few other things. I'm just going to tidy my desk, and I'm going to actually share a few tips and tricks with you of what you can do. So it's going to be like a little tutorial of things. Let's look at the face. So in this stamp set you get the face contour, you get the hairband, you get the eyebrows. So there's 4 sets. I designed them to create different facial expressions, which you'll see in a moment. And then I have also 4 sets of eyes, 1 set of false eyelashes, which can be used on top or bottom, and 5 sets of lips. Some of them are open lips, so you can create again different look. These are individual lashes that you can add to the full set, or you can use on their own, or just do a lot of other things, which you'll also see in a minute. And finally you have a little tiny heart tattoo, which I think just looks so adorable. And that is what you get. You get 20 clear stamps. Now they are all connected, so the eyebrows and the eyes are all connected, and the eyelashes are not, because I wanted you to be able to play around, use one if you wanted, flip it on the top, flip it on the bottom, do whatever you want. They're not identical, they're drawn individually, so they're slightly different to one another, so that's how you can create a more interesting look. And if you wanted to, you could cut the eyes and the brows in the middle, except for the Frida brow obviously, and you could play around more by, you know, moving things around or rotating things, and that will give you a different look. However, I designed them to be on one strip simply because it's a lot simpler and less fiddly to work. So if you're a beginner, you'll find this much easier. If you're a little bit advanced to stamping, then you might want to cut it in 2 parts, and then you can create a lot more. All right, so here I'm just showing you 2 things. I'm showing you that you have one bun, and you can create different hairstyles. So you can create a side bun, middle bun, not bum, and Mickey Mouse ears is my favorite. And then also this geisha type of hair where you build the buns. You can go crazy and just build and create something really impressive. If you start with the face down at the bottom and then fill up the page with these buns growing out of her head, it would look pretty cool. You could do a lot of things with it, just go creative. But yeah, so I will show you how to do this in the demo video. The other thing I'm trying to show here is that you can play with the proportion of the face. So let me just put this white piece of paper so you don't see the ghosting. So you can play with the proportion, and depending where you, how far you separate the nostrils from the eyes, that gives you a different face. You can see here I have moved it quite far apart, and that looks very different to say this face, which is, these 2 is what I usually go for. So very minimal space in between and slightly more. These 2 I don't usually do, but you know, totally up to you, because you're supposed to play around and find what you like. It still will be my style in your art journal, so don't worry about that. But just, you know, personalize it a little bit more. So that's what you can do. And then I will show you. So that's the one I've done here. And then here I'm just showing you where I like to do it. So if you draw a line in the middle of the face, and then let's create another line, you kind of will see that the eyes are right in the middle of that line, which is quite low in the face probably for the eyes, but I like to fill this area either with floral stamps and create something like a crown or fringe or some sort of hairstyle. And so the easiest thing I find is always starting with the lip, because I know the chin is roughly this size here, and then the lips. So I know then when to start with the eyes. If I start with the eyes, I kind of can quite often go a bit higher, and that will change up the proportion to something like this, which I personally don't enjoy as much as that. So again, you can try that first before you, you know, before you start doing your art, just to get to know the proportions and the stamp set. So here I have stamped out all of these brows, eyes, and everything that comes in there. So we've got, again, 4 sets of eyebrows. This is what they look like. So again, if you want more detail, because these are all hand drawn and I wanted it to kind of be so detailed that if you stamp it, you almost can see like individual hair on the brows. That's how I drew it, so I wanted it to look like that. And you will see that if you go with the VersaFine ink, which is juicier, it kind of blends everything together and you see less of the detail. You still will see the detail on the edges, but you won't kind of see it as much because it just moves the ink together a bit more. If you stamp it out with the archival ink, you will see a lot more detail. So again, up to you what you prefer. So then I also stamped out those eyes for you. You can see them here as well. And the lips, 5 lips, and the accessories for the face. Also, while we're here, the floral set, which I have here, I designed to be a lot thinner lines than the face. So with the face, you can see I wanted it to look like I have drawn it out, and that's what you're getting from my journal to your journal. But with the florals, I find because they're flowers and they're so delicate, I wanted the lines to be as thinnest as we could get. And so I worked together with my manufacturer in making sure that we get the safest, thinnest line possible that will print, but will be super, super fine. So that's what you will find with the floral set. Those of you that have already ordered it, is that the stamping line will be a lot thinner to the face. And I specifically designed it that way because if I had a fatter line, it just doesn't look as great, I found. So I wanted it to be as thin as possible, and you can see how fine those lines are, in fact. Okay, so let's move on. Now, this is what I mentioned to you. If you wanted to cut out the eyes or the eyebrows in 2, you could do that. And here are the eyes. So this is the normal set as it comes, and then if you cut them, you can put them closer together, further away. You can tilt them down, so make more of a cut eye, more of a sad eye, and a little bit of a confused eye. So if you like that whimsy kind of monster type of look, then monster in a cute way, you know, not in a bad way. So yeah, you could do that, and then you can do the same thing with the brows, where you can play around and again create even more exaggerated arch and more exaggerated lifting of the eyebrows. So all of them up here and all of them down there. And in fact, this eyebrow here, I have just reversed it upside down, so like that. And you can see you can use it upside down to create a little bit more maybe of an angrier look because it's facing down. So yeah, different things you can create. Now let's look at the accessories, the eye accessories. So I stamped out the heart in black ink to make it more visible. You can use them to decorate, like do some face art around the eyes, just you know, anywhere you want you can use them. And just create, even like in the hair crowns, you can dot it around. When you're doing like a floral crown, you can dot around the heart, for example. Let's have a look. Somewhere here you could dot the heart in between the flowers, just also create a little cute element. And here we are also using the full set of false eyelashes, and you can see I'm using them on top and bottom. Here just on the bottom. Now you can, if you mess up and you don't stamp it right on the line, on the lower line of the eye, and you have a gap, you can still work with that. You can create a thicker black outline, so you could connect it like this. In fact, I'll show you. I'm just going to get my, what's this, zebra liner, is it? And show you. So I'm going to fill in this whole entire line like that. And on top as well. So that you can see that you can totally work with it, and it starts looking, so in fact it was this eye, but you're kind of creating almost this eye. Now don't worry, it won't look identical, because again this eye is a lot more exaggerated than this one, so it's not the same thing. They're all drawn from fresh, so it's just a way of doing it. And if I line out this eye now, you'll see the difference. I will make a list for you, because someone already asked, of what I would recommend to use for illustrating these faces. And there is a number of things, like a handful, maybe 5 to 10 items, pens and things like that, that I find very useful to use. So here you can see, you can totally create that. And, you know, that is if you mess it up and stamp it lower. And then we are working here with the 2. So again, you can always clean it up if you feel like you haven't stamped right on the line. Again, take your black outliner or whatever you're actually going to do. If you wanted to do like a different color, basically just clean it up as you go. So, you know, you created a base. Now let's work over it and bring it all together and make it all cleaner. So don't worry, there is no such thing as messing up with these stamps. Now again, here you can see the stamp line isn't clear, purely because it was too wet on the stamp. So be careful when you use VersaFine. I find it's just a little bit too juicy, but I do love the style of it. And then we have the individual lashes here, and you can use them anyway, but what I really love using them for is to have one statement eye and build it up like so. So you can use 2 of them, so you can see right here in the corner, and you can stamp them and twist them in and out and create this very beautiful kind of almost like a flower dramatic eye. So let's see what else we have here. So this one I already mentioned. This was the same, that brown ink with that hair, with the Frida eye, and also the individual lashes here. And then this was that eye, which I wanted to show you. So it's this eye here, and you can see I designed it in such a way that again it gives us a different ethnical style or ethnical look. And you can also play around and create different colors, so you can fill this area with a different color and create different makeup looks. So like here, for instance, I have filled it in with a nice purple and it looks super pretty. You can leave it nice and sort of straight the line, or you can, if you want, thicken it up. So again, play around and see what you like. This one I've done with the purple. And this eye I have designed, which is, let's see, so this eye I have designed so that you can stamp it as it is, with like even black ink, and then go inside with anything that you want and color it with watercolors or pencils and create different colors there. But with the other 2 eyes, the black top and the both dramatic smoky eye, I wanted it to be a solid color, so that if you wanted to go with the black ink, you can just do it black and it's ready and finished. And then let's have a look here. Here I have played with that with this ink, which is the Tattered Rose, and it is very, very nude and light in colors. So when you are working with it, after you line it out, you won't even it will look like you hand drew it, because all you will see is your own line on top of it. And then here I have used some of the leaves from the floral stamp, which is right here. And you can, play around and create all sorts of things here. Now with the brow as well, because it's such a light color, you can hardly see anything. This is how it started off, like that. So the detail is pretty much lost, but I didn't need the detail there because it is flesh colored ink, and so therefore the little hairs that I drew afterwards with a fine liner, you can see how fine they are, and it doesn't look like a stamped the eyebrow. But the stamped eyebrow, it made it easier for me because it was already there, so I could see where I'm what's the shape I'm doing. So yeah, that is what you can create with these babies. Here again I'm showing how to create a floral crown, and again there will be a tutorial to show you all of that. So here is another example. I've given her pink hair, and it's got a little sheen here. These are my watercolors that have sold out so quickly, which is these ones here. So I've used all 4 colors. So I've used the scarlet red mixed with the tropical orange here in the dress, and then the hair is the pink lemonade, and the skin was the perfect peach, just on its own with no mixing. It's a perfect, I find, Caucasian skin tone. So yeah, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I wanted just to show you as much as possible, and there will be loads of separate tutorials where I will explore with you on different subjects, like how to create how to build the hair, or how to draw the eye makeup, how to correct everything, how to bring everything together. So there will be loads and loads of content in the coming weeks, so you'll see loads more. This was just to give you the heads up, because I know a lot of you will be receiving the stamp sets, like I said, either already or this week. So I wanted you to know what to do once you get them. I will do the same thing for the florals set as well. And that's it. I hope you're having a lovely day, and see you soon.